I stood in the new director's office. He wouldn't look up. On the table, my badge. Next to it, a cardboard box with my things, a few pens, an old flashlight, a bag of keys. They told me I'd stolen tools. They told me I'd failed to perform my duties properly. No proof. No witnesses, except the kind you can buy. I stayed silent. They waited for me to start defending myself. I didn't. Sign here, the director said. His voice was flat, rehearsed, like a commercial. This is a termination for violation of internal rules and theft of company property. I looked at the signature line. At the stamps. At the clock ticking softly above the door. The door had already closed. The lamp over the desk cast a shadow under his eyes. He didn't look at me, only at the paper. I signed. My hand trembled slightly, but not from fear, from rage. From the thought that someone could erase 12 years of work with one stroke of a pen. They handed me the box. They walked me out. When I left, security locked the gate behind me. All that was left was the evening road home, and a silence that felt heavy as iron. Once, this place had made locomotive parts. The factory had stood since the war years, when life was simpler. My first night shift, I still remember it, cold beams of light, the smell of machine oil, the hum of presses. I came here young, still half a kid. Worked as a night guard. Routine shaped me, patrols, logbooks, keys, brief talks with workers who came in at 3 a.m., eating with bandaged hands. I knew every door. Every exit. Then came the new owners. Young guys in suits. Phones on the table, smiles on their faces. They brought words like modernization and efficiency. They smiled in meetings. They gave bonuses to those who stayed quiet. At night, trucks without plates started rolling in. They stayed late, 2, sometimes 3 in the morning. I saw cars pull up and drop off packages that didn't match the official manifests. I took notes. Quietly. No drama, just routine. There was a guy from the transport shift, Marco. We'd worked together years ago. Then he quit, joined a freight company. I ran into him once at a bar. He drank in silence. When I was unemployed, sitting in that same bar, the quiet guy in the corner, I gave him my new number. Didn't ask for anything. Just left it there. One evening, I went back to the factory. The old gate gave way under my hand. They'd forgotten to lock the side door. I walked in like I used to. Darkness. Flashlight in my pocket. I still knew the layout, the metal doors, the basement, 2 hangars, and a row of containers with new labels. Where the report said, tool inventory, I found crates with parts not listed anywhere. I took photos. Wrote down serial numbers. Made notes. At home, I decided to gather more. I met Marco at an old intersection. He acted like he didn't notice me, but I could tell he was waiting. We spoke quietly. Who sent you? He asked before sitting down. No one, I said. Old habits. He gave me lists of trucks, plates, dates, times. Said some came in around 2 a.m., when no one was around. I wrote it all down. The next day they called me in. A complaint, missing tools. I was the last one with a key. By the new administration's logic, I was guilty. No investigation. Just closure. They fired me. That's when the other kind of work began. Not the kind with a uniform and badge, the quiet kind. I started building a timeline. Who entered, who left. When the trucks came. Whose access cards were used. I rebuilt the routes. I sent an anonymous report to the tax authorities. Made a fake profile as an internal informant. Uploaded copies of manifests, photos, truck lists, camera screenshots. I wasn't seeking revenge, not the destructive kind. I wanted order. Facts louder than words. I leaked part of it online, on local forums. Simple post. Photos. Names of managers. The internet did what it sometimes does, multiplied it. People started asking questions. Letters went to newspapers. Calls to the police department. The company answered with press releases. They spoke about disinformation and accounting errors. Called it an internal issue. Filmed statements with new stamps and new signatures. But the numbers didn't match. The manifests didn't align. The photos had timestamps, impossible to fake. A week later, a raid. I sat in my apartment watching TV. News footage showed agents entering the building. Drone shots. Officials. I didn't go there. Just watched. The cameras caught the moment one manager was led out in handcuffs. The same man who made me sign that paper. His lips moved, whispering something as they walked him out. On the news, he said, "We didn't know it was illegal." It sounded weak. The screen showed his signature. I didn't feel triumph, just a clean, quiet certainty, the record was set straight. Then came the audits. Ledgers, invoices, shipping papers. Journalists came. Old workers gave statements, who said what, who signed where. Other channels of shipment emerged. Turns out, the stolen parts were going to different plants. Several people were charged. Some officials weren't as innocent as they claimed. An attorney contacted me, my anonymous data had triggered the investigation. But my case wouldn't be public. That was fine. I didn't need recognition. I'd done what had to be done. Months later, the factory was sold. A new company bought it, promising to revive production. I got a letter. An offer to return, this time as a security consultant. They called it a compromise, a sign of respect. I read it in the quiet of my kitchen. My apartment felt empty after the divorce. My son was in college. Life had dissolved into routines, work, room, news, phone calls. I didn't reply right away. I went to the meeting. New office, clean, glass walls, sunlight. The same director from before sat in the room. He looked at me differently now. Not a man giving orders, but one trying to save face. His voice softer, cautious. "Would you consider coming back?" he asked. I agreed, for one day. They wanted me to walk the grounds. I did. Empty shops, scrubbed clean. The warehouse, changed. I stopped by the old guard booth. There was a new guard. Young. Sharp eyes. "Did you used to work here?" he asked. I looked at my hands, the ones that knew every lock. "Yeah," I said. Sometimes a place remembers more than people do. He stared a moment, then nodded. I walked away. Didn't take the job. Didn't want to be part of the performance. My work was done. Order restored. That was enough. I walked through the city thinking about what had happened. About the people on each side. The managers who thought they were untouchable. And the simple matter left behind. Logs, signatures, receipts. And that strange thing, justice. That sometimes arrives not as punishment, but as the natural result of documentation. I didn't celebrate. Didn't feel elation. Just completion. Like the end of an early shift. Not a victory, just closure. A few dialogues stayed with me. "You can explain this?" The director had said when firing me. "Explain." I replied. "I saw trucks at 2:13. I saw the unloading. I recorded everything. These aren't my words, they're facts. We have policies," he said. We have to act. Policies are for those who use them, I said. When policies work, you can see their traces. Another conversation, after the raid. So what do you want now? Marco asked, meeting me in the upstairs corner of the old bar. What do I want? I said. For things to be what they're supposed to be. For names to match deeds. For people to answer for their signatures. You don't regret it? He asked. No, I said. I just did what needed doing. Weeks later, I got a letter from my son. He'd read the article. He said he was proud. I read it and felt only a quiet warmth. Not triumph, just confirmation that what I did at night meant something. Sometimes I go back to the old guard booth. Stand there, looking at the same road where the trucks once came. Sometimes it feels like the factory was a giant machine. A machine that ran on small parts. When parts went missing, it kept running, but with a rattle. I made the rattle stop. I never wanted fame. Never wanted revenge in the cruel sense. I just wanted facts to stand where they belong. And when facts are public, the system works differently. People get answers, not because I forced them, but because documents don't lie. The end. No speeches. No high notes. Just the pale morning light when one shift ends and another begins. I walk home. On my table sits the same badge, quietly resting in its box. I look at it and realize, it's just an object. But sometimes, objects remember things. I put the badge in a drawer. Leave the keys on the table. Turn on the kettle. Somewhere in the distance, a train horn sounds. A short, sharp note, and everything feels in order.